Hello friends and welcome to my channel. So what do you think of these penguins? This is a part of Simon Hurley's Let It Snow collection by Spellbinders. I love the Playful Penguins Die Set. It is so cute and it is perfectly matched with Frozen Flurries cover plate. These adorable cards were so much fun to make. For each card, I'll be creating an ink blended background on Bristol Smooth cardstock using Distress Oxide inks. The panels are oversized so that I can get the background plus that large main sentiment out of it. I'm just randomly applying ink. I'm working with Cracked Pistachio, Shaded Lilac, Tumbled Glass, and Peacock Feathers. For me, these pretty colors are reminiscent of the Northern Lights. I know, in spite of the fact that penguins are not found in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm taking creative license for my wintry scene. So once I have my colors mapped out on the panel, then I'm going to go back and reapply the color, extending it into the colors that it's adjacent to until I get a nice smooth blend. Initially, it looks a little bit like a hot mess, but once those colors are reapplied, blending one into the other, it softens and starts to pull together. I'll be using the outline die which accompanies the Frozen Flurries cover die set. I'll also be using a word die that is from the Four Seasons die set. I'll run this through the platinum and now I'll switch over to Spellbinders Scout, the little mini die cutter, to do the rest of my die cutting. And as I'm die cutting my 3 penguins for the 2 cards, I'll lay everything out so that they can be pulled together quickly. And as soon as that white overlay goes on the penguin, you can already see the personality emerging. To assemble, I put a little bit of Scotch tape on the back, pop in the beak, and I've already attached the feet to the back of the body. The white overlay die cut is attached and the penguin is complete. So easy. This penguin is going to be wearing the sweater. I've already attached the main part of the sweater to the collar, but to get the angle of the sleeves just right, I attached those to the penguin's arms first before the sweater was attached to the penguin. Of course, I had to use the antlers on at least one of these penguins. They're so cute and they are attached to the back of the head. So I decided to change up the color of just the main part of the sweater, which is in a dark teal, so I overlaid a light teal one. For both of my card fronts, the Frozen Flurries cover die was used to cut black cardstock. This is going to be the full panel of the snowflakes, so I'm just attaching it to that ink blended background. And I'm applying thin streams of glue all the way around each of the snowflakes in addition to the perimeter of the panel. And I just love how this looks with that dark background. The negative die cuts for each of the snowflakes adds further detail, so I'm going to be adding those in. A couple of the snowflakes have quite detailed pieces. So first I'll take the snowflake, pop it into the panel, add my glue, pick up those pieces with a jewel picker, popping each one into place, knowing that they will be perfectly positioned onto the snowflake. Apply some pressure and then peel the snowflake off. And for this large panel, there were 3 snowflakes that had these details where it was easiest to position them by placing the snowflake back into the panel. For the rest of the snowflakes, there's just simply a little circle die cut that needed to be popped in without going through that extra step of inlaying the snowflake. And for these snowflakes, I just went ahead and added those circle die cuts first and then went back, picked them up with my jewel picker, added a dotted glue and affixed them to the panel. Adding in the details really transforms these snowflakes and it is not as time consuming as you might think. Before preparing my second panel, I'm first going to foam mount my sentiments so that they can have some drying time. I'm using Winter from the Four Seasons die set, and I had room on the ink blended panel to letterpress the secondary sentiments. Winter Sentiments press plate and die set is fabulous. You press your sentiments all at once, and then there's one big die that cuts them all out at the same time. The dies for all of the sentiments were used to cut black sheet foam, and as you can see, I've left the foam die cuts intact. It will be slightly recessed from the background, making it very easy to align the cardstock ones to it. And the preparation is now complete for the sentiments for both cards, and I can get busy working on that second background. Using the snowflake die in conjunction with the outline die, black cardstock is cut. This panel is going to be cut about 2/3 down with a die from the Color Block Scenic Scape. This will create a horizon. The snowflakes are adhered to the ink blended panel. Then I'll go ahead and do some inlay work to add in those snowflake details. Create a border between the snowflakes and the hillside. I'm going to go back to that die and cut black cardstock. After the first cut, then I can take the die and keeping it equal distance from the die cut, I'll cut it again, creating the border. It is adhered to the panel, aligning it to the die cut on the snowflakes. To remove the excess and get a flush cut, the panel is flipped over. The blade of my scissors is pushed right up against the panel's edge before I cut. My sentiments have had enough time to dry on the foam, which can take a little bit of extra time. Using a craft pick can help release them easily. Both of my panels are adhered to A2 size black card bases, and now I'm ready to pull everything together. Starting with the full snowflake panel, I have my sentiments laid out, and I'm putting black foam squares on the back of the penguin that will go on this card. Now the sentiments can be adhered. I've just eyeballed it, but if you're not comfortable with that, then certainly something like a T-ruler can help you ensure that they're going to be straight. And now I've removed the backing from the foam squares on the penguin, and I'm going to have him sitting right on top of that letter W. And I think he looks so adorable with those antlers. On to the second panel. These penguins are going to be decked out in cute little toques of lilac and teal. They'll be trimmed in white. And of course the pom-pom will be white as well. This set includes a die that creates 6 little circles. At first I couldn't figure out what it was for, but then I noticed that on the side of the penguin's face there's a tiny bump out. They're cheeks. I cut them out of soft pink cardstock for a cute finishing touch. And there are some cute accessories. I'm going to be using the wreath, and I'm going to tuck them in behind the penguin's arms, which are die cut, or are they wings? The same die that was used to cut the cheeks was also used to cut lilac cardstock to make some Christmas balls to decorate the wreath. And we'll add in a couple of Christmas boxes, one of teal, the other of soft pink, topped off with lilac bows. And the last few elements have been completed for this second card, so now we can start pulling it together. The sentiment for this card is going to be in the upper portion of the card, reserving the foreground for the scene. Like the penguin for the previous card, these penguins will be popped up with black foam squares. One penguin comes bearing a wreath, so the other one is going to be carrying the present. And I'll pop in a small foam square right underneath it to stabilize it. And when the second penguin is mounted onto the card front, the pink present is going to be just adhered right beside it, completing this scene. And speaking of presents, that is a wrap for these 2 cards featuring Spellbinders Let It Snow collection. Playful Penguins is an adorable die set, and I just love it with the frozen flurries background. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.